Hello, all. Very welcome to all of you and good evening. Thanks a lot for taking time out for this session and joining us all here. I request Shelley, who is a member of the Law and Society Committee, to introduce the event and also introduce the speakers. Thanks a lot.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out time to be a part of this event organized by LawSoc. Love beyond binaries. Love is a very beautiful feeling, but it has often been made complex by idealizing certain forms of love as the acceptable kinds. However, today it has been manifested in forms and embraced in forms that have never been accepted, but are yet equally beautiful and equally pure. So, with this, I would love to introduce you to the panel for today. So, we have with us Mr. Siddarth Gope, who is a transgender male and is a very famous trans activist. He advocates for the rights of the LGBTQ and is also a very famous queer feminist. He's also a filmmaker by profession. Next, we have with us Hridaan Majumdar. Hridaan identifies himself as a trans male and is very passionate about fashion and literature. Uh, he he's also a queer feminist and is a trans right activist. I would also like to add that Siddarth and Hridaan identified themselves as a queer couple who work for the betterment of the LGBTQ. Next, we have with us Mr. Sanjay Sachdev. He's a journalist by profession and is also the founder of Love Commandos, a very famous NGO that works for the rights of persecuted couples in India. He seeks to provide legal and financial as well as social aid to couples which are persecuted by the society and their families. Moving forward, we have with us Mrs. Divya Kandakuri, who is an Ambedkar rights activist. She's the founder of the Blue Dawn, a very famous support group that works for the betterment of the Bahujans. Her works are mainly centered around caste discrimination and gender rights. Next, we have with us Mr. Tejas Harad, who is also a journalist based in Mumbai. He currently works as a senior editor with The Quint, and his works also centered on social justice and caste discrimination. The last but not the least, we have with us Malini Chib's assistants, uh, Varsha, Huja, and Catherine Amino. Malini Chib was supposed to join us today, however, she could not because of certain preoccupations. All of them, however, work in the field of disability rights and are very famous for their stance on securing rights for the disabled. So, with this, I would like to thank you all once again. It's a pleasure to have you all on board. And with this, I'd like to hand over the charge to Anshul for further moderation. Thanks.
Hi. Uh, so, as we've seen that love is anyway a very complex emotion, but then no experience can be divorced from its social realities, and uh, it's often the case that most of the barriers that people from any marginalized community face are just because of the social constructs, and there's no any other reason for those barriers. As far as queerness is concerned, we have seen that section 377 has been read down, and we are a better jurisdiction as far as the rights of queer individuals are concerned. But how far are we from a society which has a more positive outlook when it comes to queer relationships, when it comes to queer individuals, when it comes to this identity itself? That's something, a manifestation of the same was seen in the arguments which were also made before the Delhi High Court, where still the government argued that queerness is seen as something very problematic in terms of the culture of the country, etc. So, given that the Supreme Court has affirmed the right of queer individuals to self-identification, the right to choose their partner, the right that individual liberty which everyone has, irrespective of what gender or sexual identity they have, how far are we as a society in terms of recognizing the rights of queer individuals and queer couples, and how as a society we can get better at celebrating love in all its forms? I'd request Siddharth and Hidden to elaborate on this, the kind of challenges that they feel queer couples face in India, the kind of challenges they have faced, and what can essentially be done to improve the outlook of society when it comes to such relationships and such deviant form of love.
Hi, hi everyone. A very good evening. I'm Siddarth Gope. I identify myself as transgender man.
And I'm Hridaan, and I identify myself as trans man.
So we both are couple. So uh, if I talk about society and if I talk about how society treats um, we both are same sex couple, and it's people think that if you are a trans man you will always have a girlfriend or you will always have a woman partner. So wherever we go and wherever we talk, at first people look at us and people ask that, You both are best friend, right?" Because how we talk and everywhere we go, yeah, it's a very good thing between two person, their couple, friendship, best friend, they should be best friend, friendship should be there. But in somewhere people psychology works like uh, two transgender men, they cannot be couple. So this kind of discrimination actually we both always face. And first of all, I want to mention how we met. Actually, we met in social media. He posted
On FB.
something. Yeah, he posted something, and I strongly agreed with that. And I said that we both are same. We both share same kind of mentality. And actually, that time, used to identify as non-binary person, and he used to identify as bisexual,
Cisgender woman.
cisgender woman. So people know that we came relationship, Siddharth and his dead name people used to use. And suddenly when he came out as trans man, and people started judging him like, how you can be suddenly a trans man, because do you have that kind of attitude, or do you feel like that? People and people also thinks that if he came as trans man, then what I will do, I will be like, okay, now we cannot stay together, we need to break up. So but no, I always wanted to tell people that there are two different things, that is gender and one is sexuality. Because by gender can be anything and sexuality also can be anything. Like, I am trans man and my sexuality can be homosexual, bisexual, can be heterosexual, pansexual, anything. So based on your gender you cannot judge anyone that you cannot have a transgender man boyfriend, or you cannot have same sex, cannot be on same sex relationship. So now Ridan will tell his experience since childhood, what kind of discrimination he faced being a queer kid.
So the first time I realized that what is discrimination, when the when the different way my parents used to teach taught me, like uh, as a kid I always loved to play football, cricket, and my dad always used to tell me ki behave like a girl, you are not a boy. So I always get confused that I didn't know how I'm behaving. I was behaving like the way I am. So the first time when my parents when my parents like treated me like this way, I really cried so much. And always in school time, my friends used to tell me, you behave differently, you don't behave like us. Why this is your favorite color, why this is not, why you are behaving like this and not like this. Even teachers also used to tell me many transphobic things. And one day my best friend, she told me that be a girl, you are you are different and you are weird. Also, for my skin color, I faced many discrimination in school life, and so I really don't have a good childhood story or school life story. It was full of discrimination.
So, if I talk about my childhood and my school life, how I also faced the same discrimination or bully, how he said, like I was assigned female at birth, and I used to always feel like a man. No, I cannot be a girl. I'm a boy, and my friends used to tell that mazak mat kar. So they always try to ignore me, always try to, and my parents also always try to ignore my feelings, what I want to tell them, and they never heard me. So when I went to for my higher studies, went to Chennai. So that time there I got a lot of exposure, a lot of information about queer community. And that time I saw one video that is that is sex actually reassignment surgery. So it was 2018. Then I heard about gender affirmation surgery or sex reassignment surgery. So before that I never used to know that who I am I trans man or am I lesbian, because in school usually I used to I studied from a girls school, and I always I was always into women. So after that when I went for higher studies, then I explored, and I got another emotion or another kind of attraction towards men. So after some years, I have found that I am interested in both the genders. So when I came out as trans man to my parents, then they did not try to listen, and they never accepted me. And when I came out as women, it's complex to them, because being a trans man, that is very complex, and being bisexual trans man, that is a huge thing for them to understand, very complex thing. So that's how my parents react when I talk about my partner. So last time uh, when I was at my home, I asked my parents that I feel like that, and Hridaan is my partner. uh, do you guys are going to accept me? And then usually they were sticking to their opinion, that it's totally you have some problem, or pagal ho tum, kuch bhi bolte ho, this kind of things. Then we decided to move together last year, and we moved together because he also facing a lot of issues there, and I was also facing issues. So when we moved together, we faced a different kind of situation here in Kolkata, because I'm working as a tech guy, and he's studying. Um, like, for me, I can take my responsibility, I can take his for responsibility, but for his parents, he is like a kid. So when he moved out with me, his parents were like, how it can happen, because um, they always used to treat him always used to restrict him, never used to
Control.
teach control, and never used to treat properly. So they tried to abduct him that time. So after that, it is a lot of things happened. Actually, police also helped them illegally to his parents. And after that I contacted Safo, that is an NGO based on Kolkata. So Safo, actually they helped us a lot. They talked to Shashi Paja, who is the Ministry of Social Justice. She talked to Shashi Paja, and she arranged everything, and we able to rescue him. uh Sappho and me, we rescued him from police station, and he had to stay in the police station one night, whole night there, and he faced a lot of things there in police station. Starting from hijra, are you a hijra, or starting from I want to see what is inside your clothes, this kind of uh, things he faced. So, like, I want to say, I want to conclude in like 2 3 lines. Like, first of all, there should be parents who are ready to listen to your kids. And if uh, it's not working out, or if you feel that they're talking something which very complex, then you can talk to psychiatrists, you can talk to psychologists. There are a lot of queer friendly psychiatrists who will definitely help you out to understand your kids. Second, I want to mention that police and institution and government institution and everywhere, where we always face discrimination, because as a trans man, when I used to go to office, because now I'm working from home. So I used to go to office. There also I used to face a lot of discrimination, because there are only two kind of washrooms are available, that is female and male. So there are no washrooms for trans people. So I feel that there should be washrooms available, not only in the workplaces, in roads and other places also. um, and thirdly, police and who actually protect us, they should be aware about us, they should be aware about LGBTQIA plus community. So yeah, that's what from my side. Do you want to include something?
Uh, Thanks a lot, Siddharth and Hridaan, for sharing your experiences. This just throws light on the fact that, irrespective of how laws change on paper, it's very hard to bridge that gap between the law and the reality, because uh, even after Navteej Chauhar and Nalsa judgment, we still are miles away from a society which is more receptive to the to queerness and to different sexual identities and gender identities. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience. Um, Moving on from here, uh, given that uh, not only queerness but other forms of social constructs, the differences that we see in on the basis of religion, especially, which has become very prominent now with the hijab controversy going on in Karnataka, where we see that if a person, where we believe that if a person is from a different religion, they are different from us, and why religion is seen as a difference is something that we really need to question. Uh, the Constitution affirmed the right to life, the right to individual liberty back in 1950. But still, we see every day some High Court or the Supreme Court has to give another order saying that every person has the right to choose their partner, irrespective of which religion they belong to. Uh, to comment on this and to talk about how things play out in practice when it comes to interfaith couples, we have Sanjay Sachdeva sir. He runs an NGO called Love Commandos. He's helped around 10,000 couples and protected them from persecution by parents and society, police, and other such institutions. So I would be really grateful if you take it up from here and share your experience, and what kind of challenges do you feel couples face, interfaith couples face, from their families? What kind of outlook uh, does the state institutions have when it comes to such couples, and what role has your NGO played so far? Sanjay sir, are you there, sir?
Sir, I think you muted.
Sir, you're muted. I think you need to unmute yourself.
आंचल मुझे सुन रही हैं?
हाँ सर, we can hear you now.
जी जी
जी सर, जी.
First of all, I should salute the brave couple, the trans couple, but they could reach a minister, and they were lucky enough to catch hold of a minister and got the boy out. But everybody in the country has no reach to a minister. But bravely they have done it. The problem starts from the beginning, from the parents of the boy or girl. There is issues like कम पढ़ा लिखा, ज्यादा पढ़ा लिखा, अमीर है, गरीब है, ये जात है, वो जात है, ये धर्म है, वो धर्म है. वो ये समझते ही नहीं है कि इंसान के खून का रंग लाली होता है. लगातार हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने कहा. सवाल ये है कि रोज हाई कोर्टों को और सुप्रीम कोर्टों को ये फैसला क्यों देना पड़े? क्योंकि हमारी पुलिस एक शब्द नहीं समझती. वो कहते हैं हर बात में कि ये फैसला उस मामले में है, जबकि फैसला उस तरह का नहीं था. पहली बात. दूसरी बात, जो वकीलों की बात करते हैं, कानून की बात करते हैं, वकील एक शब्द इस्तेमाल करते हैं, कोर्ट मैरिज. हमारे देश में कोई भी कोर्ट मैरिज एक्ट आज तक बना ही नहीं है. जरा वकीलों ने जो बोर्ड लगा रखे हैं अदालतों में कोर्ट मैरिज, जरा मुझे कोर्ट में मैरिज करा के तो दिखा दो. कोर्ट में दो काम होते हैं, रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ ए मैरिज और परमिशन टू मैरिज. परमिशन टू मैरी, स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट, उसके प्रोविजन ऐसे खतरनाक हैं कि जिंदा नहीं बचेंगे, और इसका फायदा स्टेट उठा रही है. कई राज्यों में, इवन आप कर्नाटक से बात कर रहे हैं, वहां भी नौजवानों की हत्याएं हो रही हैं. ये मामले लगातार आ रहे हैं, मगर हम क्यों नहीं सुधर रहे? क्योंकि नौजवान खाली अपने प्यार को तो समझता है, एक दूसरे के प्यार की कीमत को नहीं समझता. और जब तक नौजवान मतलबी पना नहीं छोड़ेंगे, तब तक इनकलाब नहीं आएगा, कोई बात नहीं होगी. आपने कहा कनाडा का मामला. मैं कहता हूं कि पूरी दुनिया में रंग भेद है, लेकिन रंग भेद के खिलाफ लड़ाई भी जारी है. हमें सोचना तो पड़ेगा. आज हम कहते हैं, हमारा स्लोगन है, प्यार करना पाप नहीं है, विरोधी हमारा बाप नहीं है. मेरे पीछे लगे पोस्टर पे भी ये कह रहा है. लेकिन क्या अपने माँ बाप को आसानी से लोग छोड़ नहीं पाते हैं? खास करके लड़कियां प्रेम में कमिटेड ज्यादा होती हैं. और कहानी आती है लड़का भगा के ले गया। सारे पीटी उषा हैं या मिल्खा सिंह हैं? कुछ नहीं। देश के सामने जब ये मामला आया तो बहुत पहले स्वर्गीय प्रधानमंत्री, तब सांसद थे चौधरी चरण सिंह, पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जो प्रधानमंत्री थे, उनको एक चिट्ठी लिखी थी कि देश की सारी नौकरियां 100% रिजर्व कर दी जाएं कास्ट इंटर रिलीजियस मैरिज वालों के लिए। 2-3 पीढ़ी में देश बदल जाएगा। वो माना नहीं। नतीजा, और आज की सरकार तो और ज्यादा बिल्कुल धार्मिक भावनाओं को ज्यादा तूल दे रही। सत्ता और धर्म दोनों अलग हैं, उसकी खिचड़ी किसी को नहीं पकानी चाहिए। लेकिन सत्ता के लोग हर मामले में, प्रेमियों के मामले में खास करके, अब कल ही देखिए आगरा में हमारे वॉलंटियर दूसरी जगह तैनात थे। 2 घटनाएं हुई। पहला कि प्रेमी जोड़ों के साथ बदतमीजी की गई। दूसरा, एक लड़कियों के स्कूल में हिजाब तो बांटे गए, लेकिन ये कहा कि वैलेंटाइन डे मत मनाओ। क्यों नहीं मनाओ? ये दुनिया का इकलौता फेस्टिवल है जो किसी धर्म से जुड़ा हुआ नहीं है। तो आपको कहना पड़ेगा, आपको करना पड़ेगा। That is why I am saying, now in the Special Marriage Act, there is section 4D. 4D means where there is a custom in one of the communities of the boy or girl, that marriage can be performed. अब इस देश में कोई व्यक्ति होगा जो कम्युनिटी में मैरिज नहीं होती, लेकिन कैसे होती है? हिंदू की हिंदू से, सिख से सिख से। सिर्फ क्रिश्चियन मैरिज ऐसी है जिसमें एक क्रिश्चियन हो, दूसरा कोई भी हो सकता है, लेकिन वहां भी अड़ंगेबाजियां पहुंच गई। तो जब सेक्शन 4D है तो इसका मतलब साफ है कि जब प्यार करते हैं तो भाई किसी ना किसी तरीके शादी करेंगे, कोई तो कन्वर्जन होगा। 30 दिन का नोटिस देते हैं। और क्षमा करें, जो स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट का सर्टिफिकेट लेके घूमते हैं, किसी दिन कोई भी उठेगा 4D का कंप्लायंस रिपोर्ट लिखा देगा और शादी को नलीफाई कर देगा। ये लड़ाई लंबी है। हम नहीं जानते कि हमारी जिंदगी तक पूरी होगी, लेकिन हमने जोर लगाया, 75,000 जोड़ों को इकट्ठा कर दिया, मिला दिया। पता नहीं कैसे हो गया, हम में तो हिम्मत नहीं थी, लेकिन बहुत लोगों ने मदद की। कुछ ने धोखे भी दिए, हर चीज मिलती है। इस सवाल को मैं चाहता हूं कि जो बाकी लोग हैं, कुछ लोग मुझसे सवाल करें जो उनके दिल में है, ताकि मैं उनकी बात का जवाब भी दे सकूं। सिर्फ प्रवचन देके, भाषण देके चला जाना मजेदारी नहीं है। और लास्ट स्टूडेंट्स अगर बात कर सकें तो बहुत बेहतर होगा।
जी सर, थैंक्स अ लॉट। आपने जो बातें बोली बहुत ही ज्यादा अच्छी थी और बहुत ही ज्यादा अच्छा लगा इन बातों को सुन के। अभी हम बाकी स्पीकर्स को एक बार बोलने का मौका देते हैं, उसके बाद हम क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन रखेंगे। उसमें मुझे यकीन है कि काफी लोगों के पास आपके साथ वार्तालाप के लिए काफी सारे मुद्दे रहेंगे। सो मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट सेगमेंट, keeping this context in mind that intercaste couples and interfaith couples do face a lot of issues, as sir highlighted, ranging from opposition from the family to opposition from state institutions and lackadaisical attitude of state institutions like courts and the police itself. A similar a similar situation is also witnessed when it comes to intercaste couples, and I'd say it becomes in fact more complicated because despite Article 17 and whole jurisprudence around untouchability, etc., we still have the notion of purity pollution around caste, and we've seen so many of these honor killings and abandonment of children by the parents when they enter into such unions. So now I would so I would request Divya ma'am to highlight her experiences and uh, share the kind of issues she's witnessed on ground when it comes to intercaste marriages. And please, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi, thank you so much, Anshul, Jabin, Sabiko. Thank you, Siddarth and Hridaan, for sharing your journey and putting across your points. And thank you, Sanjay sir, for giving us telling us what happens on the ground with these cases. So for me, I don't have in terms of like on ground experiences regarding this, but I would like to begin by talking about how why this happens, right? Why this violence happens when it comes to intercaste marriages specifically, right? So I would like to quote, before I begin, I'd like to quote Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, especially in his paper named Castes in India, the Genesis and Development. He talks about how caste system has been kept alive through the practice of endogamy, right? Endogamy means marrying within one's own caste. And he also, in this same paper, he also talks about how this, the caste purity that Anchal, as you mentioned, like how the caste purity of Brahmins and upper caste people have been tried to maintain by also controlling women's bodies, right? One of the examples that we've known is of the sati practice, where if the woman becomes a widow, she used to be burned in the fire along with the husband, so that the reason is also that um, she doesn't go and involve with men who are not from the same caste. And in order to maintain that purity of the caste line. And the other like in Ambedkar's words, he uses the word remedy, and he says that the other remedy that has been taken by the Brahmins was to enforce widowhood on these women for the rest of their lives, so that they don't marry outside their caste. So where these two things function hand in hand, there is also the practice of endogamy that happens even today, right? Like even in 2022, the marriages that we see are mostly the same caste marriages within same caste, especially if it's a arranged marriage. And there is a lot of violence involved whenever a couple tries to, shatter this system, tries to annihilate caste system by marrying outside the caste and trying to dilute this system. So in order to safeguard like these very couples, and also to in a way to destroy the system of Brahmanism and system of caste, Ambedkar and his colleagues in the constitution, I mean, you're all law students, I'm sure you know that about the Article 21 of the Constitution. So I would like to just read what it says. Article 21 of the Constitution, it's named the protection of life and personal liberty. It states that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to a procedure established by law. So with this specific article, if two people are consented to marriage and are from different faith or different caste, they could be allowed to marriage. And similarly, this also can be applied to queer couples as well, right? So even the Section 377, when the judgment was coming in, they also spoke about Article 19 in that, and also quoted Article 21 in that judgment, if I'm not wrong. This article is there, like which clearly states that one can marry anyone who they want, and there is a right to personal liberty and life. But in practical terms, how law works, I would like to say from one of the personal experiences is that um, I've decided to marry my partner, and who's also present here, Tejas, and we've done a Satyashodak wedding, and Tejas will speak more about what Satyashodak wedding is and more details about that. But I would like to tell you all about the process and what we went through. So we opted for a special marriage act because we wanted it to be non-religious wedding. And so when we approached the registrar office, you can clearly see that there is a hostile environment the moment when two young people go and ask for the form. And especially when this, because when you go, the immediate assumption is that you are going there to register marriage that has already happened under the Hindu rituals, under these Brahminical rituals, right? So they're ready to register you under the Hindu law. Then when we say that, when we said that we wanted to do a special marriage act, so the entire behavior also changed, but also how easily they can tweak things to not keep the couple safe, right? So they said that usually according to the law, they can accept the rental agreement of one of the persons who are present of the couple. But in practice, like they asked us to have a local address. Like, for example, if we were a runaway couple, we wouldn't be able to marry, say, in Delhi. And we ran away from our house. For this is example, right? If we are an intercaste couple who ran away from the hometown because there is violence back home, we cannot get married in Delhi because in on paper it says we could, but these people are making sure that we don't, by saying that you need to have a local address. And the second thing they also do is that there is a 30-day period where they will display the address, phone number, the details of both the couple at the register office. It's on display of both the couple's permanent address offices for everyone to see. And in this 30-day period, anyone who wants to object to this wedding can come forward and object it. And like there is this chance of objecting to this wedding of these two young adults. So that's again like one loophole that's there with Special Marriage Act, where it's not safe for many people because addresses are displayed. It's not happening now, but earlier they would also advertise it in the newspaper if the couple is getting married. But like, if I have to look at it in practical terms, it looks quite scary because you are literally advertising the phone number, the address of this couple for the world to see. And if like, I don't need to, I mean, Sanjay sir already mentioned like how, like, say if it's something like a Bajrang Dal group or like a VHP group, they can easily come get hold of this couple and kill them, right? So this is again like how it happens on paper versus the law. And I mean, it's open secret why it also happens, because it's just that our society wants to doesn't want to let go of the caste system, doesn't want to let go. The Brahmins and the upper caste people doesn't want to let go of the power structures that they have built and the hegemony over resources that they have been holding for generations now. Similarly, there are other kinds of marriages and the movements that happened for intercaste couples. I would like to talk about very briefly about like Periyar in Tamil Nadu and the self-respect marriage movement, right? So Periyar was also very vocal about women's rights and also about sexuality, and he was someone who said that it is okay to not get married, and he also believed that marriage as an institution was a regressive system, right? Because marriage in itself is patriarchal in a way that there are no equal rights for the couple or how society perceives them. And also, Periyar recommended self-respect marriages, which is a way of conducting the marriage in a very egalitarian manner, where there is no for example, Mangal Sutra involved or certain Brahminical rituals that, like if you attended any Hindu wedding, you see that the woman will touch the feet of the husband while the ceremony is going on, or things like that are not involved in the self-respect marriage, and it has certain vows that the couple takes. And I exactly don't remember the year, but when the DMK party came to power, they also made this legal, right? If you are in Tamil Nadu, you can get married through self-respect marriage format and also get it registered legally. And I believe that we need more such systems in place, more such alternative systems in place that are not Brahminical in nature, that are not conforming to the patriarchal and gendered norms of what a usual Hindu wedding would look like, right? And I would like to also like conclude by saying that no matter how much we talk about intercaste marriages and all of these things, it's not equal, right? The system in itself is not equal. For example, I'm a queer woman. If I want to marry another woman or another trans person that I'm in love with, legally, I cannot do it because the state in itself does not accept this union between two adults just because they think it's unconventional, right? Because they think it's not natural. And I feel that's where like again this conflict with the state and the law and all these structures that are in place come. I mean, it's like 2022, but we still have to like we are still reading about the Trans Act, for example, which is so violent in nature, right? So, yeah, I mean, what I'm also trying to say is that there are laws, there are fundamental rights, there is constitution that is there to safeguard us. Some of us, not all of us, but still in a real world and the practicality, especially in the current political scenario, it has become really hard to actually access these laws, actually access these rights that we have. And I really hope we do get to not speak about these things in future and everyone get to love the way they want to. Yeah, I think I'd like to conclude here, Anchal, and pass it to Tejas.
Thank you so much. So, Tejas, sir, would you like to add on to the experiences?
Hello, thank you for inviting me. So, and also it was really nice to hear speakers before me. It was really interesting and also enlightening. And like love, romance, emotions, all of these things are personal. But what happens is that in Indian context, they don't remain personal, and I feel like not just getting married or a romantic relationship, but if we broaden this and talk about just associating with people in general, it can be friendship, it can be romantic relationship, sexual, or just a business partnership. So this freedom to associate with anybody that we want to, that is something that we have been given by Indian Constitution, but we do not see this in reality at the community level, and that is a problem. If it was personal, it would be a different kind of discussion, but in India there is like a lot of societal interference in these kind of associations, romantic or non-romantic, and therefore the discussion shifts. And I feel we also like need to have a historical perspective, because then only we will know how to break out of it, where we can go from here, and what kind of solutions we can think of. uh, so Divya mentioned Satyashudak marriage, Satyashudak wedding, all of these things, and I will not go into detail because we don't have that much time. But it will be interesting to look at Jyotiba Phule's life, who was the personality behind Satyashudak marriage, and also Savitri Bai. Both of them worked together. They were the ones who founded Satyashudak Samaj along with other colleagues, and Satyashudak Samaj was the organization that proposed Satyashudak marriage. Now, there is an apocryphal story about Jyotiba Phule that when he was young, he had a Brahmin friend who was getting married in 1840s. And this friend of Jyotiba, he invited Jyotiba to his wedding. And now Jyotiba Phule is not a Brahmin. He's from a Bahujan Shudra family. So in the wedding procession, there was somebody who asked Phule his background. He wanted to like know who this person is, who he did not know. And when he got to know that Jyotiba is not a Brahmin, then he was like, what are you doing in a Brahmin wedding then? So this incident, we can see that it is a temporary. It is an event. It's not a long-term partnership or something. Jyotiba is just attending a marriage function, and even then, society has a problem with that. So we can see that this like freedom, this liberty to associate with anybody that we want to, even though it should not be in question, it is. Uh, it is some, because these kind of associations do not hurt anybody, right? Like who we want to love, who we want to marry, who we want to do business with, who we want to have friendships with, or any kind of relationship. This question should be between those individuals, right? But it often is not, especially if it is a romantic kind of relationship or a sexual kind of relationship. And this this is something that needs to be challenged, and Jyotirao Phule and Savitribai, they challenged it in their own way. Like, the first school that they opened, it was meant for everybody. It was meant for girls, it was meant for Dalits. They opened their well for Dalits. So they also belong to a caste that practiced untouchability against Dalits, but they did not believe in those kind of concepts. They believed in free association between individuals, among individuals. So they opened their well for Dalits. We also know that one of the earliest, like modern earliest uh, Dalit social reformer, Gopal Baba Valankar, he was friends with the Fules, and he used to dine with them at their house. And at that time, whoever was in Jyotiba's house, they had to sit with this Dalit social reformer. Like Phule did not allow people to discriminate against him because he believed in free association between individuals, and that is also why he and Savitribai, they could come up with the concept of Satyashodhak wedding, where there are no Brahminical rituals. And one thing that they consider important is that the two people who are getting married to each other, they should have the choice to decide whether they want to be in that union or not, because this is 19th century, but even in 21st century we see that a lot of the times it is the parents who decide who their daughter or who their son will marry to. So the right to decide for oneself who we should be in a relationship with, uh, who we should marry, that it's still decided by parents, by society, by our relatives. But in 19th century itself, Satyashodhak Samaj and Fules are saying that people who want to enter this relationship, they should have the right to decide if they want to be with each other or not. So we can see how radical that concept is, that act is. And they also did not allow any kind of Brahminical rituals in this form of marriage. There was no dowry, there was no saptapadi, things like that. And in Maharashtra, so this is Maharashtra. Fule's worked in Maharashtra. In Maharashtra, in the Brahmanical weddings, is this concept of Mangalashtake, where there are these poetic verses, these stanzas, which basically are a prayer to gods, or talking about uh, you know a traditional patriarchal kind of union. But Fule wrote alternative verses which were much more radical, which talked about equality, which talked about opposing patriarchy, which talked about rights for women. So we can see the kind of radicality that Satyashodhak Samaj and Fule's proposed. And I feel that we need to take that cause forward in 20th century, as Divya mentioned. Periyar took it ahead with his concept of self-respect marriage. Then Babasaheb Ambedkar also, his intervention in constitution, kind of laws that he proposed and also tried to enact, like Hindu Code Bill, and the the articles in constitution itself, like Article 19, Article 21. So all of these social reformers, they very much espoused personal liberty. They espoused free association of individuals, and we need to really try to make these concepts part of our daily lives, part of uh, societal common sense, so that they don't only remain in the laws or in the constitution, and they're practiced by people across communities. And and if we manage that, then no matter what one's sexuality is, no matter what one's gender is, we will able to break those barriers. Because this concept of free association, personal liberty, non-interference by society, by community, people who are third party, if we manage to overcome that, then no matter what one's identity is, what one's gender is, sexuality is, we will be able to overcome that. I think I'd like to conclude here at this point.
Thank you both of you for sharing your experiences. It's certainly interesting to look at uh, these movements which have evolved in response to the social barriers, in response to the whole purity pollution narrative, where uh, intercaste marriages do happen and they do challenge the meta narrative. And Divya was very right when she said that even though this discussion is important, the hope is that we reach a point where these discussions don't happen anymore, and we have an egalitarian society where everyone is free to love whosoever they want to, especially having a constitution like we have. Um but yes, still, since we are still yet to reach there, so these discussions do become really important. Next, I would request Catherine ma'am to talk about how disability becomes a barrier in pursuing love, because as much as queerness, caste, religion, all the social ideas like queerphobia, casteism, and communalism, they become a threat for couples who are willing to love outside binaries. How can a physical impairment become a problem, and how can the societal attitudes and the state response, lack of accessibility, become a barrier in terms of pursuing love?
आंचल, आपने क्वेश्चन किससे पूछा है?
Catherine Amino ma'am from Adapt. Ma'am, are you here with us? I can see her name in the participants list. She's left the meeting. Maybe she's facing connectivity issues, I'm assuming. Anyway, I hope that she joins us back soon. In the meanwhile, I'll request Dhawal to facilitate the question answer session from here and see if the participants have any questions so that the speakers can respond to the same.
Hey, thanks a lot. If anyone has any questions, they can just raise their hands and ask the speakers directly. Until the time that people are collating their thoughts, I had a question for Siddarth and Hridaan, if they're still here. I wanted to ask that often with the story with queer and trans couples is that due to the rejection faced by biological families, they end up finding what people term as found families. So in terms of the support received by other queer and trans people, how did that affect your journey?
Dhawal, I think Siddarth is not answering. Can I speak on this issue?
Yes, sir, sure. We would love to hear your thoughts.
In Kerala, Love Commandos is helping transgender couples. Our shelter is there. I have met recently in the month of December or January such couples there. But there even everybody is scared about his or her life. They are not able to tell their identities. They are not able to properly work. So many people. So the society needs. I think I should congratulate the Kerala government who has taken an initiative for getting such marriages happen. I should also congratulate Mamata Banerjee for making Valentine's Day a holiday. But government's initiative is not sufficient enough. Divya referred Periyar. Periyar said beautiful words, beautiful sayings, but are the people implementing? Tejas referred about Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Baba Sahib said that every female is a Dalit. Are we practically doing it so? Leave that apart. I tell the government. The government order says all kinds of marriages will be registered. Now, we went to Delhi government saying that Gandharva Viva should be registered. And in the answer, it was told that it cannot be. Gandharva Viva is our ancient system. Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati. Parvati was a Brahmin and a daughter of a king. Lord Shiva was ogre, like a scheduled caste of today. Their marriage was Gandharva Viva, where there was no witness even. The Shiv ke Gan, these we do it in puja, are the people who were there in the marriage. Have we learned anything? No. When we call about intercaste marriages, it was a laughing thing for me. Rajasthan government, some 10 years ago, sent a report saying that the community has decided so and so. Where is the community or Khap Panchayat is recognized? Nowhere. So these are the basic things. I think the struggle will go on. But the young advocates have more duty to the nation because the older ones generally are puppets of the police. When the police how it happens? What has the right got the police to trace the mobile location? No right. And it is everywhere happening because we are keeping silent. Even the courts, the advocates do not take up the issue. They should have. I spoke in Hindi why? Because there are many courts in India, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and so on. Total work is in Hindi. So simply speaking, a thing should be in court's language. That's why I preferred part of my address in the Hindi. I think you should have more questions so that I can answer you, because this is an endless issue. But yes, what I can do. We have helped 75,000 couple in 11 years. How it happened, we not know. But the fight is not ending, because every day we are getting calls, emails, everything. Emails on helpline@lovecommandos.org, or calls on helpline numbers. Simply, one is having a problem, second is problem. Another problem is coming to us, that convince their parents. Whereas Article 2 of 1978 omitted the provision of guardianship from marriages. When there is no provision of guardians, why are we bent upon convincing them? If they are agreeing, fine. Otherwise, you have right. Another thing, people think that marriage will happen in free. That can never happen, because there are costs. Registration has costs. Advocates have costs. Even you will become an advocate, you will take costs. So that has to be in common. When you do a love marriage, you think you should be free. Where you have Jugadu marriage, Intijamiya marriage, or so-called arranged marriage, you will be spending lakhs of rupees. There cannot be two standards of life. So Dhaval, I'm again requesting you, please put more questions.
Yes, sir. We have one more question. Thank you for that response, sir. Akash, you can just unmute and say your question.
Yeah, hi everyone, good evening. So I was curious about the Satyasodhak marriage. So since Satyasodhak marriage does not involve religious ceremonies, like what kind of ceremonies are allowed or followed in Satyasodhak marriages? So a kind of elaboration on what Satyasodhak marriage is.
See, it depends upon the couple, the condition. Simply saying that by you are intending to marry cannot answer the query. Please send the email to helpline@lovecommandos.org. We will be happy to answer. Until unless we understand the complete issue, how can we tell you? Because that way you may be misguided, and we do not want anybody to be misguided.
Thank you, sir, for that response. May I also request Divya ma'am and Tejas sir to elaborate on Satyasodhak marriages?
Yeah, thank you, Akash, for asking this. So Satyasodhak marriage came together as a concept by Jyotirao Phule and Savitribai Phule in the late 1800s. There was also Satyasodhak Samaj that they have built, which means the Truth Seekers Society. So I'll also connect you to an article where you can read more about Satyasodhak marriages. So the need for Satyasodhak marriage, I think Tejas previously also mentioned how it came out to be a concept. So what happens in the wedding, I can say that, and also what we did in our Satyasodhak wedding, I can mention those points. So usually, like in the general Hindu wedding, you see that there is a Brahmin priest who would be reciting some Sanskrit mantras, and there is Mangal Sutra involved. There is Sat Fere. There are all these rituals. There's also a lot of expenditure that needs to be done by the family, mostly by the girl's family. There is also a system of dowry that is connected to this, the usual Hindu weddings. So Sachdev marriage came out in defiance to these very structures, and what they did was, they gave one format where Jyotira Phule rewrote certain phrases, certain verses, where during the wedding, both the bride and the groom, they will be reciting these verses, which are egalitarian in nature, and they are still available. He has written it originally in Marathi, and they have been translated now. So these verses are mostly also are asking the groom to take cognizance of women's oppression and work towards women's rights. And these verses also, like how the format is that there are certain verses that the groom has to say, there are certain the bride has to say, and they together say certain verses which basically talk about how they would work towards society keeping superstitions at bay and also working towards truth. And there are also certain verses, 4 or 5 verses, where the people who are attending the wedding, unlike the Hindu weddings where the attendees are just watching or the spectators, Satyashodak marriage involves the participants, the viewers also as participants, and the viewers also say certain verses where they bless the couple, and they say certain things. Basically they say that you both have to do good deeds in life, hope you both prosper. So all these things, which are very defined in nature. And back in those days, we also have to remember that it's late, almost 19th century. So Phule did mention that the groom to tie Mangal Sutra, but he also says that, because it's also, we have to remind, it's 19th century, he also says that the bride tie a chain, something like on the groom as well. Like, so it was like a two-way thing. So in our wedding, what we did was we tried to tweak some things according to our own personal feminist politics, and also keep the same format. And we changed certain verbs, we kept some original verbs, we also deleted some of the verbs according to our own ideologies. And that's the beauty of such a wedding, right? Because it gives you that freedom to do what do you call it, to customize it according to your own politics, right? But the main aspect of that is to give away the Brahminical rituals, to not have a Brahmin priest. So our wedding, our one of our friends only did the emceeing, where she was talking on mic and explaining what this process is and conducting the event, and it was all done by our friends. Yeah, I hope that answers your query.
And Divya,
Yeah, it does, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
just a minute, Divya, you have given a beautiful answer, but since 2005, the Supreme Court judgment says registration of marriages. Now, in that, even Buddha form of marriage is not there.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Buddhists, but that is not there. Likewise, these marriages are not there. Now, the question will come tomorrow, if they are not registered, whether they will be treated as legal husband and wife or what?
Yeah, thank you so much for actually bringing that up. So that's the thing, right? In Tamil Nadu, self-respect marriages are recognized legally, whereas in not in Maharashtra, anywhere the weddings that are done in non-Hindu way, like non-religious way, like Satshodak wedding or other Buddhist weddings, they have to be registered under Hindu wedding, Hindu Marriage Act
Marriage.
or Special Marriage Act. So both Tejas and I also, after the ceremony has been done, we did register under the Special Marriage Act post that ceremony is done. So definitely, because we have to keep ourselves safe, and if you have that, you need that document from the state, that recognition that you are married. So we did a separate registration. So again, if you go for a Hindu marriage registration, you would have to do a Hindu wedding and have a priest signature and everything. So that's not possible. So the option that we had was to do with the Special Marriage Act. Yeah.
But it is only in Tamil Nadu,
Yes,
not
in Tamil
all
Nadu.
over the country.
Yeah.
Tamil Nadu has always stood against traditional things. I can agree. But the India is a big country. It has to spread like anything. Like Tatkal marriages, registration is there in Delhi. But again, there are so much paperwork, you cannot do it easily. So we have to stand against. We all, the youth, I have my own age, but all the youth should come on the streets for these issues. Then only we can have a love revolution. And that revolution is in the air. Love is in the air. It is not coming on the ground.
I think that's very nicely put.
Thank you, Divya ma'am, and thank you, Sanjoy sir. Achal, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I could see Varsha Ahuja ma'am join us. So ma'am, we were discussing how is it to love like as a queer person, or how is it to love like when you're an interfaith couple or intercaste couple. So if you could elaborate on how impairment and disability interacts with love, and how things pan out for couples when one of them or both of them have a disability, in terms of social outlook, and how the state institutions uh, respond to such situations.
Unfortunately, with disability, love, marriage, relationships are not in the forefront at all. So it's not even in the conscious mind of anybody that people with disabilities can have the same feelings, the same urges, the same desires. We've had very few couples in these almost 5 decades of existence where people with multiple disabilities have had either relationships, to forget about it, marriages. Marriages have only been for the males, where they have had non-disabled female partners. No female with disability has ever married in my 5 decades of work. So it is kind of, I won't say frowned upon, but it's not even accepted. It's not even something that is considered as far as disability is concerned. I'm talking multiple disability. When you have sensory impairments like vision and hearing, which don't really impact you that much, then it's much easier. Then it's far more prevalent. But there isn't anything. And it's not as if there is awareness. There is no awareness of this. I don't know about state government initiatives, really, when it comes to multiple. I will only speak in terms of multiple disability. I'm not aware of any initiatives that are taken over here. And unfortunately, the awareness is so basic and so minimal that it's not something that is thought about.
Right. And how do you think, what is the attitude of able-bodied persons when it comes to dating and pursuing, let's say, romantic relationships besides marriage?
Oh, not at all.
How?
Malini, unfortunately, is not able to be with us. Malini Chib, who's, the reason for the Spastic Society of India. She's got cerebral palsy. She's written a book, One Little Finger. And she's also written this article saying, no sex, please, we're disabled. Where she says that, everyone looks at the body beautiful. So they don't even consider a romantic relationship with someone because they don't, it's not there in the conscious mind that this person brings something to the table. So we have a very, very, very long way to go.
Right.
Varsha, our best wishes are with you and the couple. You have stood strong in the society.
You know, sir, what we need to do is all of us need to come together for this sort of thing. What is happening now is that, you know, someone is fighting for the LGBTQ community. Someone is doing it for disabilities. Someone is doing it for caste. Someone is doing it for class. If we all came together, we would be a force to reckon with.
Definitely, I agree. And Love Commandos invites everybody to join.
Yes.
And we can discuss everything.
I think we should also take this conversation after this offline.
Yes, kindly join form on the lovecommandos.org and we can move forward.
We'll definitely do that, sir. I'm so glad I joined. The internet over here, I have to come out and take it because where we are in the armed forces area, you know, it's always jammed. I joined late. I came outside where it was a little better. I'm so glad I did join, but I will join up and let us now get together. It's a very critical part of one's life. And I think, you know, we have to take this forward.
Definitely, this cross movement solidarity is something that we were hoping to create, and LawSoc is proud to have done this. Anyone else has any questions, please? Okay, I don't think so there are any. I would request Abhishek to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Anchal. I would like to thank everybody who joined today's session. It was really interesting to listen to views of different speakers, from talking about queer couples and how the problems they face in accepting and how society reacts towards them, to Satyashodak marriages and interfaith marriages. The session was really enlightening, and how we, even while talking through these experiences, we also learned about different laws and how the laws are flawed and what needs to be done. Also, in the end, we discussed about how love is completely detached from disability rights, and how people do not look at it from that perspective. I think all these issues are interrelated with, and I'm really thankful to all the speakers who joined today. And also, I'm also thankful to all the audience and participants who joined. The session was really great. Thanks for turning up, everyone. I hope Law and Society Committee in future keeps on doing such events. And thank you. That's all.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.